You
Yeah.
get the, what is it, the Chinese herb, what a shimu?
It's not that
I
popular here.
totally.
And it creates and retains fat wherever it's applied, which is amazing. We've got fenugreek that
Yeah.
expands mammary glands and it helps your body to bioactively respond in that area.
Allowing botanicals to do their thing and
Yeah.
doing it scientifically and doing it healthfully and
Yeah.
allowing for what are some of the results that you see when people use it?
I grew 3 cup sizes in 2 months, four
Wow.
cup sizes in 3 months.
Wow.
But imagine it's 60 days later and you go from a double A to almost a C cup and no hormonal change.
And also this hormonal thing, not to mention just this chemical, just horrible exposure that you
Mm.
get from it. You have the surgery, then you have potentially a lifetime exposure. Welcome to SuperLife with me, Darren O'Lean, a podcast where we explore, discover, and share solutions that promote a healthier life and a better world. Together, we'll ignite possibilities, inspire change, and build sovereignty, creating a roadmap towards a super life for you and for all. Get ready to start living your super life. Tara Mackey, thank you for showing up at the $1 million view that the people can't see, but we're staring at the Malibu Pier and Pacific Ocean.
What a day.
Thank you for making the journey, and
Oh
I'm
gosh.
really stoked to have this conversation with you.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. It's a long
Yeah,
time coming.
it has been. Yeah, and we've been chatting back and forth for a while, and it's just like I don't even. It's hard. It's almost hard to have a starting point with you because on the one hand, I want to dive into the your concoctions and your enhancement protocols and the power of plants and botanicals that you've unleashed in a good way with women. And at the same time, you have such a path
Mm-hmm.
that led you here, but it's also twists and turns and recording artists and like it's such a it's rare that I find someone that I'm so intrigued by because of all of the maturations and changes, and so yeah, I'm fascinated by the path.
Oh, thank you. I'm fully receiving that. Thank you so much. It's been it's been a journey to get here.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah,
And when somebody fully sees you, I think that's come through in our conversations. I feel like a 1 minute voice memo touches on 5 topics with
mm,
us.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why I'm really excited for all the stuff we have to share today because it's, when your path has been so windy,
Mm,
it's hard to meet people who truly understand every step that it's taken to
mm,
get where you are.
yeah.
When there's so much depth there, hard to meet people who've walked similar paths.
Yeah, so let's dive in a little bit of that origin story because
Yeah.
that's the fuel, right? And I resonate with that fuel in terms of like the transmutation of challenge
Mm-hmm.
and
True.
discovery of yourself and discovery of alternatives based on people the path that seems to be the way is may not be the way for you, and you have to forge your way through it. Um so you're on, you know young person, like just walk me because I can't even begin to summarize it ahead of time. Let's walk
Yeah.
through a little bit of your path
Yeah.
and how the hell you kind of got here.
Yeah. It started early, right? So I had a really challenging upbringing.
Yeah.
I was raised by a solo mother that struggled with drugs and alcohol. My grandparents got custody of me when I was 6
Wow.
because my mom overdosed in front of me. She survived, but obviously shouldn't be doing that in front of 6-year-old children.
Right.
So
And where was this?
this was in New York. I grew
Yeah.
up right outside of Queens.
Mm.
So, and I go into all this in my first book as well. So my grandparents got custody of me, and when I was 12, my mom relapsed again. And they sent me to a child psychiatrist. I'd been going to therapy, talk therapy this whole time, which Without that, I wouldn't be a functioning human being. I think therapy is so, so incredibly important. But when that happened, they sent me to a child psychiatrist, and a child psychiatrist's job is to put you on drugs.
Right.
And I was a child, and they put me on drugs. The first drug I was ever put on was lithium
At
at 12.
12.
Yeah.
Wow.
500 milligrams of lithium 3 times a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Basically a zombie. So when the lithium then started turning off parts of my brain, as it does, right? I got diagnosed with ADHD because I'd always been a straight A student. And then all of a sudden, well, why can't she do math? Well, why can't she do Spanish? You know, it was these certain parts of my brain that literally just weren't really working anymore.
Right.
And I wasn't failing, but the fact that I wasn't getting A's was like set off huge alarm bells for everybody, right? So doctor puts me on more drugs. So now I'm on a stimulant and a mood stabilizer. The combination there caused juvenile rheumatoid arthritis at 16. So then I got put on an anti-inflammatory. And then I started having panic attacks, and I got put on an anti-anxiety medication. And around we went.
So you're literally just a side effect, having a side effect, having a side effect.
Being medicated for a side effect, being medicated for a side effect, being medicated for a side effect. Yep. And it continued until by the time I was 24, I was on 14 different drugs. And I worked in the medical industry, where being on 14 different drugs was like nobody even batted an eye. Not one doctor that ever saw me said, maybe adding another drug to this concoction is not the answer. The triumphant last 2 drugs I was put on were a combination of Valium and Xanax at the same time, which is illegal, plus 12 other drugs. 12. For things now I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I've been diagnosed with, invisible illnesses that obviously when they can't name anything else, well, that's what you've got, right? And I'm on birth control. And then, of course, there's side effects for the birth control, so you get medicated for that. I mean, it just went on and on. Then my skin breaks out, so of course I have to get medicated for acne. Then I have psoriasis, so I have to get medicated for psoriasis. It never ended. And I knew it was never going to end because it was going to end, but it was going to end because I died. My body was shutting down. I was in the hospital I worked at as a patient almost as much as I was there as a scientist. And once I realized, why are my kidneys septic?
Oh.
Why do I have a septic kidney infection at 23, 24 years old? And I'm drinking plenty of water, Well, because I'm on 14 drugs that my kidneys cannot process. My liver cannot process all of this. So I'm talking about 14 prescriptions, but I'm taking 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 of each one. And I came off them cold turkey in 2011. Now, what scares me is the year I came off seemed to be the year everyone really started going on. I watched people who I never thought who watched my whole evolution into how I went from being put on 1 to being put on 14, 12 years later. And still they went on antipsychotic drugs, psychiatric medication, anti-anxiety medication, birth control. And I'd be like, what are you doing? Please, this is not a road you want to start walking down if you don't have to.
Right.
They are for certain people. They're not for everybody. And right now, the numbers say every single man, woman, and child in this country is on at least 3 different drugs. That's what the numbers say. Now, I'm not on any, which means some man, some woman, and some child are on even more than that to compensate for the fact that I'm on nothing.
Right. So
right?
we 2 people that are not on anything are
right.
compensated.
That means a child is probably on 10.
Right.
And I've seen it. Now that I speak and now that I've written my books, I've seen it. It's tearing families apart. Moms come up to me, dad wants him on medication, he's 5. Well, what do? He's going to fail kindergarten. You got to let him fail kindergarten, It's hard. It's a hard conversation to have with parents. I'm a parent now too. I get it.
Right.
You don't want to watch your kid fail. You don't want to watch them stumble. If there's something you think you can do about it, to catch it early.
I mean, the screaming kind of thing that is so obvious. The elephant in the room is the model that's set up, right? The model that, God forbid, someone doesn't have the wherewithal to look outside of the model or to understand outside of the model or to have resources outside of the model of a natural way of doing things. They become, I don't mean this as they are choosing to be a victim, but they become a victim of the system because they have no other choices, and their child may be suffering from something, or they may be suffering from something, and the source of that something is not aggregated, right? So no one knows a mineral deficiency could be the caveat of something they've been deficient in for 10 years. And
Yep.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like
Doctor's never going to tell
they're
you.
never going to tell, nor that most of them even know.
They exactly. It starts with the education system.
Right.
They're a doctor, a conventional Western medicine doctor, let's be clear, right, is not, even though they go to school for 10 years and we're meant to trust them and they wear lab coats and they have prestigious jobs, they get paid pretty well, depending on what kind of medicine they do and where, they are not taught that ADHD could actually be a magnesium deficiency. Nowhere in that 10 years of education is there anything about nutrition. They may have to take one course early on, pre-med about nutrition. Are you going to remember that when you're actually practicing 10 years later if they haven't literally integrated it into the system of what you've been learning? No. I mean, some of the unhealthiest people that I know are my friends who are doctors. And they're just going to get more unhealthy because they're piling workloads on top of also not taking care of themselves. And then they're the ones doling out health advice.
Yeah, you could make an whole argument for the whole system of being a doctor and like the badge of courage of having a shift for 2 days with no sleep. And it's like, and then and then we wonder why pretty much top one or two reasons for the overall mortality is from misprescribed medication or doctor failings, right? So
Yeah.
and no one's talking about that. So, we say this stuff and we're even having this conversation. You become a victim of this severe situation.
Yeah.
And there's just millions and millions and millions of people in the hundreds of millions of people that have no other system to go outside. They have no other way to find it. And so it's like, how often do we have to have these kind of semi-siloed conversations? And what is it going to take for these systems to change? And it's like,
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people have to get to their breaking point. I've seen it in maternal care too, right? Women think they're doing the right thing, even because they pick a birthing center. Well, that birthing center is inside a hospital. I can't tell you one single, mom that I know that picked a birthing center inside a hospital and didn't end up at the hospital.
Right.
Because they don't realize that they're interconnected, and what's considered a birthing center or an emergency inside a birthing center inside a hospital is not what's considered an emergency inside a birthing center or at a home birth, right? So they end up having these traumatic birth experiences, having to make last minute decisions about their medical health and their baby's health while they're in active labor and cannot think and cannot make decisions for themselves, and have the opposite birth and birth experience of the birth that they wanted. And there's not only no recognition of any of that, but no aftercare for it set up. What are we doing for moms that had traumatic births? Like there's so much of it that has to be dismantled and or added to, right? Hey, surgery is a possibility. This way of care is a possibility. You can go on drugs, or you can change your diet and your lifestyle and the thoughts you're thinking and the words you're allowing out of your mouth and the people that you are around and your diet and see what happens. Yeah. And that's kind of the point that I got to, is I realized I don't want to die. I really want to live. And even when I came off all my medication, it was to figure out what I needed and what I didn't need. That was my mentality about it. To do that, I have to come off everything. Right. And every doctor said, don't do it. I should not have done it. It was literally like one of the dumbest things I've ever done, coming off cold turkey.
Yeah.
Don't do that. A doctor should help you. If your doctor is not helping you wean when you want to wean, find someone else, because that doctor is not thinking about what's in your
He's
best interest.
compromised. He's compromised. Find someone else. He's compromised.
Yeah, exactly. Emergency.
Red flag,
Emergency.
red flag, red flag.
Emergency.
Compromise.
Run.
Right.
Yeah. And, we are very privileged to live in a place where, we're literally in a building where there's alternative healthcare and
Right.
alternative healthcare doctors
Right.
right now.
Right.
But if we were in Oklahoma, right?
Exactly.
If we're in Iowa,
Exactly.
what are our options? Is there a birthing center?
Right.
Is there a midwife? Is there a doula? Like, I don't even, I don't even know. So it's hard enough to find good care in LA, a birthing center that's not in a hospital,
Totally.
right? Or a doctor that's not incentivized to give you drugs.
Well, then there's so much nuance here. There's so much kind of conversation because there's also this pressure, right? So the pressure of doing it. So I just had I don't, because I haven't talked to him about it, so I don't want to say the name, but I just had one of my dearest friends have his fourth child. And he was nervous to do it at home. She was advocating, going,
Was
I
it
want
their
to.
first home birth?
Yes. Fully. And they, like, this was days ago. And I just talked to him, and he was like watching my wife switch into the gear, because now this is his fourth child. So he's seen all of the stuff, right? Now he goes, watching my wife switch into that gear that was not fear-based,
Yeah.
not like his words, didn't give her power away from any doctor. She switched into I got this mode.
Yeah.
And he's like, there, what do you need? Like, in service? Like, what do you need? She's directing the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
I saw 2 births, my godchildren.
Wow.
And like, had a
That's
leg.
very special
Like,
that
for
she let you be there.
For sure. I was
Yeah.
holding a leg, saw the first breath.
Wow.
So I'm as close as I could be without having my own. But, and so by him saying that, you could see it in his DNA. And this was,
You're changed.
I'm afraid,
Yeah.
starting. This
Yep.
is like, like something could happen.
Right.
So my point is, there's so much pressure of call it the business model of birth, the hospital, because it's just fear. Like, hey, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. We got to do this now. By the way, she was 10 days late.
I was 16 days late with my son.
Wow.
16, which is technically
And so again,
technically illegal, but because my my due date switched, when I switched from my OB to my birthing center, they gave me 2 extra days.
Okay.
And he literally came, I got to the birthing, our cutoff was midnight. I got to the birthing center at 10:30 p.m. And he was born at 3:30,
Wow.
3:33 in the morning. So, and natural, unmedicated childbirth, non-assist. I had midwives, but they
Right.
can't pull, they can't.
right.
If the head's coming out and the head goes back in, they're not going in there and getting him out. You
Right.
got to push that baby out.
Right.
So and there was not one part of me. I remember my doula asking me a couple days before, okay, so what's our, like, I didn't want to bring this up, but like, what's our emerge? Like, how many times are you asking for the epidural before we go get you one? And I said, there's no part of my brain that's ever going to ask for an epidural. But you don't have to worry about that. And I had back labor. So he came out sunny side up. So his head was pressing against my spine the whole time. Literally the most painful labor you can have. 99.9% of women will get epidurals if they go through this. It is unspeakable pain and still literally the greatest joy of my life. The greatest joy of my entire life. And I never once thought I need to go to a hospital and get this pain taken away. The entire time I thought I have to work with this pain to bring my son earthside. This is what it is. I get him because I go through this experience. That's the gift. And he was born in divine timing, right? I mean, I don't know if you can be born in any more divine timing than 3:33 in the morning. So I just feel very, like, once you pass that threshold mentally of, I trust myself. I trust my actions. I trust my intentions. I trust my body. I trust my choices. I trust my gut feeling when it tells me my choices are wrong. Very rarely do you come back from that. How are you going to step away from that ledge?
Right.
That's the end.
That's exactly what I took away from that conversation of what my friend was observing.
Yeah.
Like, and she completely took control and birthed that baby herself and put it on herself. And they left the placenta connected
Yep.
for hours
Yep.
and allowing that great immune system stem cell
Yep.
pulsing continue, which is a whole nother shamalama ding dong that they do that. You
It
know,
kills me that they wipe the vernix off. It kills me that they snip the umbilical cord. The whole thing is, it kills me that they find all these excuses to take the baby away from the mom immediately. Or when
Yeah.
they do C-sections, they just show you the baby and then they take the baby away. Like, what the fuck is up with
that'd
that?
that'd kill you.
What
Like,
is up with that?
that's I was early, 2 months,
Oh, wow.
3.5 pounds.
Wow. Happy you're here.
And literally in a incubator for 3 weeks, like no touch, like
I was too.
really.
Yeah. I wasn't early. I was actually late, but my mom was on
Oh,
drugs when she got to the hospital. So
Oh my
they had to detox me. So I was detoxed for 2 weeks. So, and my cheeks were all broken out red. I just saw newborn pictures of myself the other day. I found them going
my
through my
God.
grandparents' attic. And I had never seen them before. And like my face is all just red. There's two. I mean, it's not what you want if you can avoid it.
Jesus.
So you took 2 weeks to
Yeah, it was
be a real baby.
But the point is, like, you
But
can
imagine
you
how that
can you can
affected
literally
us.
die. And
Yeah.
my dad told a story of, like, he saw, like, they were like, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
And my dad later in life told me, like, he saw the moment I chose to live. And then it was just like bink, and he saw that little spirit kind of take hold. But
And
I
has
had
never let go since.
no. But there was a recapitulation I had in my it's a whole nother story, which I don't need to get into, but I had a full visceral recapitulation in my psychology master program that we kind of did this regression stuff.
Whoa.
And a release of magnitude I could never have. No drugs, no, like, it was just going back into that process, and I saw my entire birth, and something released out of my body, like fluid and snot, and came out of from the base of my
For sure.
my core. And so ever since then, I'm like, what happens at birth, what happens in those moments are literal imprintings, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
And it's so vitally important. So the thing that I am bummed about is this overarching pressure of the industrial medical complex, right? This pressure of, we've got the way, we do it this way. And then the pressure, even if you get, I know this triggers people, but even if you get cancer, it's like you've got a couple options. It's burning, it's cutting, it's radiating, it's all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, everyone's free to choose, but you don't know that you have other choices.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Even when your dog gets cancer, they don't tell you what
Exactly.
they're like, come bring her in for surgery.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
that's not my only option.
Exactly.
There's no way, And so, first of all, I'm so happy that we're talking about, because what we're really talking about with the birth experience, and when you're there as an adult, you see your child coming into consciousness, right? And that is their first cellular memory on this earth. How could we discount that? We don't take a puppy away from its mom when it's born, or a little tiger cub or whatever. And we can see the impact that those first few moments have on this earth, but we discount it for human beings for some reason. There's like unless we've been through the birth experience, I feel, at least in the culture, there is some sort of disconnection and removal that we've built around coming earthside for the first time after being in someone else's body for 9 months. That's what just happened. And we don't celebrate it, We don't give anyone any care afterwards. We don't,
in fact, we divorce all of it. We divorce the nature of it.
Yeah.
It is literal, the most primal part of nature.
It's the only thing we were actually born for.
Right.
Like, I thought my purpose was all these things. And then I had my son and I'm like, oh, literally, that's the only thing my body was put here to do.
Right.
is naturally give birth. Like, that's insane. And everyone always warned me my whole life, oh, you're so little. How are you going to do it? You're going to need your bones are going to break. You're going to tear. I had zero complications.
Fear.
All fear.
Yeah.
Especially when he was late, too. Can you even imagine all my neighbors watching me while I got all the birth horror story? Well, you have to go get induced because my sister's. I'm like, I don't need to hear about your sister.
Right.
Like, my baby's coming. If he's not ready, I'm not going to force him to come out.
Right. Yeah. Wow. It's so important. I mean, and then there's like, for boys, there's pressure of circumcision. There's all like, it's just like, let's mutilate a sexual organ within moments. Like that is, I mean, I know Luke's story, or a mutual friend. I know Luke talks, he's had many guests on that. And so people can check that out too. But it's,
go Google Luke's story, circumcision.
Yeah, you'll find a lot.
Sure you'll find a lot.
More than you want. So all right, so fast forward, you get through, you start. So what was the point then that you get off everything and you're in the medical scientific freaking system yourself?
I didn't last long.
Right.
Once I came off the drugs. I came off the drugs in March. I was out of the medical system by October.
Wow.
And moved to California.
You're like, this is a crazy.
I would go to work and I would be like, this is fucking insane.
Right.
This is nuts.
Right.
Like, first of all these people think we care about them. Like, this doctor doesn't care about you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I have a bleeding heart. I would care about people, but I'm the scientist doing their lab work in the back. I wasn't really having face-to-face relationships with people unless I was in the front and I accidentally picked up the phone because nobody else was there. You know what I mean? Like, that was the only time I talked to anybody, but I would see the culture of what was going on. And, I'm in fertility. I'm in the fertility lab, and these people they're trying to have children. They're doing IVF. Most people are actually coming in for vasectomies. It's a winding circus story of vasectomies, but then there's, the people that are really, really struggling, They want to go talk to the doctor for an hour and the doctor has 5 minutes. Right. And these are life-changing decisions, like, are we going to do egg retrieval or not? Do you want to choose the sex of your baby? Because that was what was happening then. And It was just like, you're giving these people very short windows to make very big decisions for their family and their health and their future, right? And their ability to have a family or not have a family. Right. And then obviously the doctors get off for lunch and they all go smoke cigarettes in the back, and you're like, this is just like, I'm living in the Twilight Zone. Yeah, right?
This is wacky.
Like, it could have been a Twilight Zone episode if they knew cigarettes were bad, that a doctor was leaving to go talk to you and then go smoke cigarettes, right? I know that I'm friends with a lot of because when I dropped out of the medical community, a lot of people stayed, and now a lot of my friends are doctors, and I don't think people, and not to scare anybody, but like, they've got lives too, and they bring some of that shit into work. They're not seeing a therapist once a week. Most of them, I wish they were, but they have a newborn at home and then they got to go do surgery for 12 hours. We're not giving anyone in the system the grace that they deserve. Not the patients, maybe the pharmaceutical companies, we are. But nobody else. The lobbyists and the pharmaceutical companies are getting all the grace. Right. And taking it away from all the hardworking doctors and nurses and the people who just want to get well. Most people, what I also realize is most people in this country don't go to the doctor unless they're really, really, really sick. Yeah. Really sick. Yeah. Because of health insurance, mostly.
Yeah, but then you get 5 minutes with the doctor and they say whatever they say, and then you feel like that's your option. Mm-hmm. And then you go, like you said, most of these options are life altering. Whether you're putting a drug in your body, whether you're getting a surgery, like these are life changing things. And then you're like, okay, well, what's my backup plan? What's the normal population of people? Should I get someone else? But I'm trusting this person, and this is what they said, and so okay, should I do this? I guess, and and it's like it is a Twilight Zone situation. So let's. Yeah, because that's just like it makes me, it fuels me. Mm-hmm. It fuels me to just continue to create platforms and possibilities and options because at the end of the day, I think I think about this every day, like all the time, all my life.
It's a plague.
It's
A plague of the mind.
yeah, because it's at the end of the day, so many of these quote unquote problems that people are showing up for, so much could be solved actually quite simply,
So simply.
right?
So simply. And
It's
I know
like-
I didn't want to hear it.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
I was taking drugs for 12 years. I didn't want to hear all I needed to take was turmeric. I didn't want to hear all I needed to do was meditate. I didn't want to hear all I needed to do was walk around the block.
Right.
Go fuck yourself, walk around the block.
Right.
I live in New York City.
Right.
That's going to make me more anxious, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
It took me a while to accept that the answers were there all along.
Yeah.
And I was medicating them.
Yeah.
I was medicating them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear that. It took literally as my suicide. My best friend killed herself in January of 2011. I tried to take my own life in March of 2011. It didn't work, thank God, because that's when I decided I really wanted to live. And that's when I decided I really needed to change my life. And it set off this really beautiful universal alignment. You know, I now go from bringing medical textbooks to work to bringing The Alchemist to work, and Autobiography of a Yogi, and nutrition books and books on natural healing that had sat on my bookshelf for 10 years, Darren. Just sitting there, you know, like from the 70s, that had all these beautiful information that my grandparents used to own that I never thought to crack open.
Ageless, timeless, actually.
Ageless, timeless, right? I mean,
Common sense.
Weird how they had a lot of these solutions 5,000 years ago, and somehow we're still inventing medication for them. when we've been able to medicate them, we just can't patent turmeric, you know?
Right.
They're trying. They're trying to grow different plants that are genetically modified and patent them.
Of course, yeah.
But anyway, it took, you know, it definitely took a wake-up call for me. And I think part of what fuels me is I don't want people to get to that point, because we lose people, especially now with fentanyl. Fentanyl was also one of the last drugs I was on. I was looking through my old journals. I found a fentanyl patch slapped in there. Yeah, old fentanyl patch. I was on fentanyl patches, Valium, Xanax, Lamictal, birth control. I mean, you name it. Like drugs I literally can't even remember, probably aren't even around anymore. I took drugs like Vioxx, drugs that were taken off the market. I took for 5 years for killing people, for giving people the things they were medicating, right? I think Vioxx was proven to like give people arthritis. Meanwhile, it's supposed to help you, right? Not feel the pain from arthritis. And the other thing about pain medication is that it just blocks your body's natural signals that are telling you something is wrong. And so whatever you're medicating pain for is just going to get worse and worse and worse, because you're not going to be inspired to go do yoga, to go stretch out, to go take a run if you don't even remember you're in pain, because you're blocking the neurons, right? That was a huge aha moment for me too, is like, shit, I don't want to medicate the anxiety. I want to learn how to not be anxious. I don't want to medicate the depression. I want to learn how to not be depressed. I want to learn how to bring joy into every single room, to every single person that I meet. I want that to be my default, so that I don't wake up with an empty feeling every morning that I spend the rest of the day trying to make go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, seeing it, having the experiences that you've gone through is clearly the fuel now that you use to give to yourself, number one, because we have to learn to do that.
Yeah.
and then to try to give that. And you've written books and you speak, but you also created a bunch of products to help. and I think we have to make solutions almost as easily attainable as this big ass system.
Yes.
So, like if you were given the Surgeon General kind of, like what would be some of what you see, and maybe just use it from because I'd really love to hear your point of view about women particularly. Mm-hmm. Because I realize that a lot of science from even biohacking community and hormones and everything is literally just coming from male studies.
Oh
right?
my God, I know.
Right? So
and then coming from male mouths and podcasts. I'm like, listen, whoever you hear it from, right? But I think hearing it from women who've been through the experience of being on and off birth control is a lot better than hearing from a man that, oh, your hormones change when you're attracted to a different partner.
Right.
What birth control have you taken, sir?
Right.
What partner were you suddenly not attracted to anymore?
Right.
You know? So, I love hearing it from women too. So thank you for asking. I think my work with my company Genetics has been really, it's opened my eyes that to fight the system, sometimes you need to kind of become part of it, right? So that's why we're FDA approved. Even though for years people said, are you FDA approved? I said, well, we're not a food or a drug. Why would we need to get FDA approved? We are topical skincare products that are bioactive, that work with your body to, like our top selling product is an organic breast enhancement oil, works with your body naturally to enhance your features if you use it correctly with our proven method, right? We're clinically tested. Why did I do that? Because I want people, first of all, I want a clinical study that says that this works. And I want it to be us.
Right.
Because it does work, and we have 5 years of efficacy that it works. So if a clinical study is going to get people over the hump of thinking that it works, okay, let's play the game.
Right.
Okay. For me, it's about giving people better options that are easy, that are non-invasive, and that work pretty much instantly. Not overnight, but instantly. You'll feel better. You'll see a result in a week, 2 weeks, a month, right? And it teaches you better habits, which is really what you need for a better, healthier life anyway. So if you can use our breast enhancement oil once a day or twice a day for 3 months' time to really see the results you're looking for, guess what? You've built an amazing new habit. And around that, you've probably built other new habits that you didn't have before.
Totally.
And so for me, it's about not necessarily we're not going to dismantle this whole thing, but we can add good, healthy things to it. We can give people an option. If you don't, I invented our breast enhancement oil because I didn't have $10,000 for surgery, and I've never had surgery, and I wasn't going under elective surgery anytime soon to put foreign objects in my body that at that time, it was just coming out that breast implant illness was a thing. It's now recognized by the FDA. But that was 2016, 2017, where some of my first friends were getting explants and going, no, these made me sick. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Putting foreign objects in your body that costs you 10 or 12 or 15 grand to do. 98% of plastic surgeons are men. Letting a man open you up and put a foreign object in your body to tell you now you look more beautiful and more aesthetically pleasing, instead of our oil is $55. Like, if you can afford a $10,000 surgery, you can probably afford a $55 oil, 90-day money-back guarantee. If it doesn't work, send it back to us. If it didn't work, we wouldn't have a company, right?
Yeah.
So we know it works. Tens of thousands of women know it works, right? I'm really excited to have the same proof that the medical industry has that their stuff works, that our stuff works.
Right.
So I think part of it is learning. Don't fight against it so much. Play into it if you can, talk to the surgeons, let them know there's options, give them incentives to tell their patients. It is a door-to-door kind of process, but eventually if what you have works, word of mouth will do it.
Right.
We've grown up until this point pretty much completely organically by word of mouth because we work.
Well, there's so many things to that too. And obviously from a botanical standpoint, like doing it enough so that the botanicals actually transdermally and actively are effective at what they're doing. But because clearly I've never thought about botanical boob enhancement, but
Don't worry, I have a product for you.
So
working on one for the men too.
Number 2. So let's break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because obviously you've got some Chinese herbs, you've got some, but I've always looked at a lot of these herbs in endogenously, like you taking them in, but as my audience knows, at least from a bad chemical standpoint, that as you put almost anything on your skin, eventually it's in your bloodstream, right? So,
of course.
So we know now to stay away from, the xenoestrogens, the plasticizers, the petroleum-based, chemical-based. But these now, some of your botanicals are tried and true. I've seen, looked at your formula, and I was like, oh wow, these are pretty strong. But I never saw it or understood them from a transdermal perspective. So, so let's highlight a few of your top ones, because there's a bunch here.
I love to talk about this, so thank you for bringing this up. So we have an organic phytoestrogen complex. And I
Yeah.
think when people hear phytoestrogen, they just hear estrogen.
Right.
And
Well, it's also the negative side of it, because we're now getting more and more of like, you don't want extra estrogens.
Right.
You don't want it from the chemicalized side of
course
things,
not.
right?
Yeah. And I think phytoestrogens are poorly named.
Yeah.
That's because it scares people away from them because they threw the word estrogen in there. Because what they do is they balance, when you have them internally, they will balance your estrogen, right? When you're taking 3 or 4 pills of something a day, a phytoestrogen. But what we have learned, so I invented my oil in 2016, and I've been telling people this forever because I took them myself and I saw what happened to me in taking phytoestrogens and how it literally balanced my body. It actually did make my breasts grow. Like without me, before I started the enhancement oil, I took some pills and I noticed a little bit of a difference, right? But I can't take 4 phytoestrogen pills every day. That's why I invented the oil. And the oil works better because it's topical. It's a massage. You're literally putting it. It doesn't have to go through your whole bloodstream. It's transdermal, like you mentioned. But what we have learned from 2016 when I invented the oil, now studies are coming out on phytoestrogens that prove that populations that consume more phytoestrogens actually have lower rates of early menopause, lower rates of breast cancer, lower rates of estrogen dominance than
prostate cancer,
prostate cancer, better immunity, right?
Tofu, tempeh, all this stuff that was demonized too is actually the opposite.
It's so good for you.
Yep.
It's so good for you. And obviously what we are putting on our body, what's getting absorbed transdermally, what we're consuming in concentrated pills, right, and supplements, and what we are consuming in our diet are all getting absorbed into our body differently. That's why it was really important for me to create a product and a method that goes directly to the source, right? You are going to put this right on where you want to see the effect, because then it doesn't have to go through all, you don't have to eat a bunch of tofu and hope it does something, or spinach or whatever. It's going to work as long as you don't take a shower right afterwards, right?
Right.
So that's what we have to remind people to apply it after the shower, apply it right before bed so it works all night, right? Get yourself a $2 Walmart oil shirt, or we're making them right now. This is my oil shirt.
My nice
Because
oil shirt.
we know, like I know I've been doing this for long enough. I know what the little idiosyncrasies of applying a product like that. But same thing with body oil or anything else you're going to put on every day. When you put your face oil on, you got to wait before you put your makeup on. So it's a little like that. But I believe it's a much more effective and even a safer, because you're not putting something directly into your bloodstream, right? The way that you would if you were eating it or taking a supplement. I think it is a much safer and much more effective form of application for what it does.
Right. So let's talk about some of your favorites. You got the Chinese herb, shimu?
We've got Simu. Yeah.
And,
love it. Love it. It's beautiful. And not a lot of people know about it even still to this day. It's not that popular here.
Totally.
And it creates and retains fat wherever it's applied, which is amazing. Like, how do you, and it's totally natural. It's like a mushroom looking thing. Really beautiful. We've got fenugreek, which I think a lot of moms, like if you breastfed or you've had any lactation issues, or you've had lactation cookies, or if you've had it, you've smelled it, it smells kind of mapley. Fenugreek is in there. It's one of my favorites. It's, these work for moms who are looking for more milk supply when they're breastfeeding, and they just have to take the pills, right? So I thought when I was formulating it, I'm like, the pills do it and they work for moms. Wouldn't putting this in an oil and applying it topically do the exact same thing? Which it does. It expands mammary glands and it helps your body to bioactively respond in that area.
So so you literally are massaging this on the boobs in this case. You can do the butt too.
Yep.
And what's the? I mean, it's so funny that I'm talking about this, but and let me say why.
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't want to see people going under surgeries. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
And also this hormonal thing, not to mention just this chemical, just horrible exposure that you get from it. You have the surgery, then you have potentially a lifetime exposure. We don't even know what the hell's going on with
that. Not only that, they're going to put you on painkillers. That's what a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
If you're signing up for breast enhancement surgery, you're signing up for painkillers.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people don't realize that until they get to the end, and and they wake up from surgery, and the doctor goes, "Okay, then go pick up your painkillers," and they're like, "Oh wait, I got to go on painkillers now. I'm in a lot of pain." And then how many people get addicted from that, right? Or want to go do more surgery because it gets them more painkillers legally.
Yeah. And listen, again, like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, big boobs, great. I mean, it's an attractive thing for all, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you're really getting results, and listen, I've spent a career like loving plants.
I thought you were going to say loving boobs.
Like, I mean, that was what I should have said.
That
but
too.
That's the obvious, and that's like the
Unspoken.
fine print. But you know, allowing botanicals to do their thing and doing it scientifically and doing it healthfully and allowing for what are some of the results that you see when people use it?
Oh my God. So I shared, first of all, I shared a blog post about this. This is how it even became a product. I shared a blog post about the DIY oil when I first invented it with my before and after pictures. I grew 3 cup sizes in 2 months, 4 cup sizes in 3 months. But imagine it's 60 days later and you go from a double A to almost a C cup.
Wow.
And no hormonal change. I got my period on time every month. Like nothing else happened. And I was just astounded. I mean, I had modeled my whole life. I had literally never bought a bra that was not a double A cup ever. Wow. And then to literally look down and see something happen that I was told my whole life could not happen unless I got surgery was like, I've never been more excited to write about something in my entire life. So I wrote the blog post. I took before and after pictures. Thank God I took before pictures. And we tell everybody who uses the oil, take before pictures. And, you know, you can take it before it comes, but definitely the day you start using it, like take your before pictures, because I was astounded, like absolutely astounded. I had no breast tissue at all. Had I even gone to a plastic surgeon and said, give me boobs, he probably would have said, and it's probably a man because 98% again are men.
Right.
He probably would have said, I can't, you know, a lot of women get turned down because they don't have enough tissue there to even put anything in. I was one of those candidates. And any other alternative that I know of, breast fat transfer, fillers, whatever else, pumping, whatever else they're going to do, it's invasive again. It's actually breast fat transfer is 2 surgeries because they got to take the fat and then they got to put it in here. And then you got to hope it doesn't go to your heart.
Oh.
Which a couple of ambassadors have had that happen to them when they got breast fat transfers. Crystal Hefner being one of them. I would look up her story. She's got a very brave.
She's open about.
Very open about it. Yeah. Her life post being married to Hugh, after Hugh died, she really went through a self-transformation, got her implants out, and then got convinced to do a breast fat transfer. And it literally almost killed her.
Oof.
So, and she's used genetics and she's used almost every enhancement, you know, procedure in the world. And she sent me some before and after pictures of other procedures that, as far as number 1, they're temporary. 2, they look like they hurt. 3, if you've had explant surgery, then you have scars. And so anything that's going to enhance your breasts is likely also going to enhance your scars, unless it's an oil, which takes care of your scarring. And she's a huge fan. So,
well, that's the thing. That's like, I look at the herbs, every pot of Arco and all these things, and you're like going, well, I'm looking at all this, so all of it is kind of this pleomorphic effect. So it's having like anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, it's healing the tissue. It's like
there's stinging nettle in there, which they've used for centuries to heal tissue and also to bring blood flow to the surface naturally.
Right.
So it naturally is going to enhance that area. Yeah, I use my science background for something.
Yeah, it's like
I might have quit, but did I really?
Yeah. Well, it's like I always give plants a chance, right? And that was kind of that was always kind of what spurred me on. I was seeing products that just were marketing something, and then the product was dead.
Tell me about it.
Right?
Or you look at the ingredients and you're like, this doesn't even have. How are they allowed to do this? This doesn't have any jojoba oil in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it says jojoba oil on the front. What are they doing? Right. This is just cancer. This is literally all just chemicals, just toxic. And I say that because. And I don't even say that facetiously. I say it has ingredients in it that are found in cancer cells, right? We have ingredients that are found to non-proliferate cancer cells that are found to stop cancer, right? So I think it's important because a lot of men are like, well, I would love if my wife would use it, but she's had breast cancer and we don't want to. I'm like, I guarantee you the other stuff she's putting on her body is probably 10 times more toxic than this, right?
Right.
This isn't toxic at all. This could
Right.
actually help her. This literally has herbs in it that are anti-cancer herbs.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say that. And I'm
Right.
very excited for our study to come out and have a couple of scientists say that as well.
Right. And to talk to our mutual friend Liana as well.
God,
right?
can we?
You know,
Can
it's
we invite her here? Where's
like,
Liana?
she's
at
the
when we meet her?
best,
Yeah,
right? So
she's
she,
great.
she
She texted me yesterday for my son's birthday. She's so sweet.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Oh,
So,
thanks.
how old is he now?
He's 3.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I celebrate going back to, I celebrate plants. I celebrate alternative ways of doing things healthfully and also straightforward, like,
Yeah.
and doing it the correct way. And it's like you're not saying like, I hope,
Right.
you're not trying to hawk products, which of course
We're not selling anyone anything.
Yeah.
We're just trying to help people. And I'm like, I've learned that, and I just want to say this out loud to anyone who's listening and wants to, do this for a living or does do this for a living or is trying to break through, like, you can make a lot of money helping people. If that's your only goal, like, I'm not profit driven at all. Investors hate it. But they know I'm driven to help people, and the more people we help, the more money we make. So they're like, whatever, she just wants to help people. Let's let her help billions of people, and they just let me go. But they know I'll never be like, well, how much money is that going to make us, or what do we need to spend? Like, that's not I'm never going to care about that. But I care about the amount of people we can help, and I want to help every woman in the world. So I know I'm going to do well in life,
Exactly. And it's, and we can speak a little bit about this. I just really feel strongly about the hormonal annihilation of what's going on in the world, right? Both from a female perspective, from infertility, from a male perspective, for motility that's falling off the cliff, and testosterone.
Has been. I did sperm analysis 2011,
Oh,
14.
you did you?
Yeah, well, I did. I still can. It's not that hard. I have a microscope at home, and the kids still do it. But I did sperm analysis, and God, I did I used to do it for friends sometimes who were trying to have kids and didn't have health insurance and
You could
whatever, and I would
easily
just
just
have
look-
their wife, hey, give me their sample,
Right.
I had to tell 2 separate friends that they weren't completely infertile, didn't have one sperm, not one little guy swimming around in there. And they got it confirmed, obviously, because I'm not like,
Right.
I'm just taking it home and doing it.
Unconfirmed.
This is unconfirmed. I'm not a doctor. Like,
Right.
I could just do your sperm analysis, right? So, and then you can go take it to a doctor and whatever. But 2, and otherwise healthy in their, mid 20s. And so it's been happening. And I even remember when I was at Bennington College, this is 2004, our school newspaper had like a graduate study about how sperm was already down 30%. Yeah. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know really any men who don't have their cell phone right in their pocket still.
Totally.
So, or don't live pretty close to a 5G tower now, or don't, didn't put Axe deodorant on for 10 years before they realized, like, what the fuck am I doing?
Totally.
Or they
still
got a
hasn't.
girlfriend,
That's
or
sti-
still hasn't. Yeah.
And this is still on the fringe.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I've been talking about this forever. I've known about this for 20 hours. There's no way I'm putting it in my pocket. Like,
Right.
thank God, Andrew Huberman's talked about it a little bit, but
Right.
it still doesn't quite, it freaks me out. I see people throw their cell phone on their pocket, male, female, and I'm like, get that shit. I don't
women
know
who-
you that well, but get that shit off. Like,
Or women who drive around with it on their lap or right in here.
oh my God.
I'm like, please, do you want to have children? Like,
Yeah.
please, for the children. Like,
Yeah.
And these poor children already have to grow up with it, right? So can
Yeah.
we minimize how much it's getting to them before they're even here? Can we minimize the amount of microplastics we're drinking while we're pregnant to give these kids a fucking chance? Please give the kids a chance. The poor kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the, you look, and I know, like, obviously I wrote a whole book on all this stuff,
You did.
but it's for those of us and for those of you who are listening, and you want the greatest life ever, and you want a healthy life for yourself, your family, your pets, for your generations, and so on and so forth, you have to take this on. It's
Yeah.
like we're not making it up.
Right.
It's like it's in the data, it's in the
Right.
science. It's just somehow it's been surrounding us for a long time. I mean, the PFAS stuff scares the shit out of me.
Oh God.
And I'm really strongly looking into how do we detox from that stuff, and it's not easy, but
Well, that's why I love the title of your book, is I think it really, a lot of it is about conveniences, is people
yeah,
don't want to give up these conveniences. They don't want to stop drinking bottled water because it's easier than filling up something that you can't throw in a bag.
totally.
There's just little things that they've made it so convenient to be unhealthy, even though now, like with inflation, it's not anymore. It's less expensive to go to the grocery store than it is to eat fast food. But people have been in the habit of eating fast food for 20 years. So they're not going to stop now and go buy an apple.
Right.
There's no way. They've already gotten so many people into it. That's why habits. I mean, my second book, Wild Habits, like it was in response to, okay, my first book, Cured by Nature, here's how to do all the things. Here's the alternatives to every drug I've ever been on, which is pretty much every drug that exists.
Yeah.
And then going through my grandfather, who my grandparents got custody of me, so legally my father, right, and in every other way my father, passed away in 2014 of cancer, and I wrote about it in the book, just certain things that really actually did help him at the end that were not chemo, right?
Right.
And our friend Liana, who's
Right.
cured herself from cancer, like it's there. These people are out there, and
Yeah.
any story that you hear, there's a myriad of things that can help, and I think allowing our population to just get on healthier because it's easier. Is it easier
Right.
when you have to pay for chemo? Is it easier when you're on a ventilator? Is it easier when you're dying in hospice? Really?
Right.
And I don't want men to have to be infertile. I don't want women to have to go see an IVF doctor to start asking, oh, where did I go wrong? We were all on birth control for 10 years. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I was luckily, before I got pregnant, I was off birth control for 10 years, and I was taking Vitex, and I was taking DIM, and I was taking a lot of supplements that will help fertility. And if you're taking that for 10 years, you're going to have a better chance of getting pregnant, even if like all my tests said, you got no eggs left. You got low FSH or high FSH, which means you're not going to be able to keep an egg in place, even if they're in there, and good luck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? I'm 33 years old.
Yeah.
I got pregnant at 34,
Yeah.
So, but we got to heal from the inside out.
Yeah. So people listening right now, like what are because I love to, there's a reason why I use SuperLife for this title and for my first book. And like I truly at my core, I don't want people to be a victim of this world.
Right.
I don't want people to be a victim of systems that are broken, that continue to go. I want to create new systems. And with those new systems, people need to be healthier. And when you have health, you have more choices. And with more choices, you have stronger community. With stronger community, you create changes and stuff like that. And that's why I love these conversations and people. So people getting exposed to another way of thinking about it, because we all can get lulled to sleep by our normal life, by, like you said, I've always bought this kind of food or this thing, I just I'm fine, but you don't realize how unfine you are,
or if it starts early enough, it's comforting.
Right.
It's comforting because it reminds you of when your parents took you to McDonald's when you were 5.
Exactly.
It's comfort food now.
Comfort food, yeah.
Yeah.
And the smell and the thing, like all of this stuff. So what are some of your top, and we talked a lot about a lot of things, but I guess from a woman's perspective, if you had 5, 10 things just off the top of your head of things for women to start right now today, what would you say to start building a better foundation, breaking from the systems that are absolutely harming us every day
and ingrained into our everyday experience, almost impossible to escape from?
Right.
I would say if you're on any medication, look into what the natural alternatives of those medications are, right? So my book, Wild Habits, WILD is an acronym. It stands for willingness, intuition, love, and discipline.
Nice.
And I would give women that advice. You have to be willing to take a really good, hard look at your life and see what's not working, right? Where are be dissatisfied because it's going to be different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to use your intuition to figure out what the next steps are. I would say the next steps are whatever you're dissatisfied with, look into what the natural, the better, the more grounded alternative is. Really drop in, meditate, take the time, take a walk, journal, think about what it feels like to feel good for you, because it's literally different for every single person on this earth. And I don't think we take enough time to think about what a super life would look like, right? And then the L stands for love, and really self-love first. You have to show it to yourself before you show it to anyone else, even your children, right? You have to be the example to your children. And if that's the case, then you have to be the example to yourself first. So you have to show yourself the self-love to give yourself the new ritual that's going to give you a literally completely different body 2 months from now if you start today, right? Or taking out some things. What I love is just habit replacing. Like you don't have to stop doing anything. You just have to do that thing differently, right? Like when I want something sweet, I don't eat a Sour Patch Kid anymore. I go make, a nice little sugar-free, dairy-free chocolate treat for myself that takes me 5 minutes. Like I'm not depriving myself of anything. In fact, I'm healing myself every time I give into that craving, right? So I think and then the D, discipline, the most unsexy word in the self-help language, but nothing happens without it.
Totally.
Literally nothing happens without it. If you do something for a day, a week, a month, 2 months, I mean, you and I have been on this journey for decades now, which I think the reason it's so frustrating to live in this world and be on this journey for half your life or more, or coming there is like, I can't believe this is still happening.
Right.
I can't believe kids are still getting put on drugs. I can't believe women are still getting put on estrogen. I can't believe people are still having fertility problems. I can't believe people are still putting their cell phones in their pockets. That's because we live, we happen to live in this bubble of it's a reflection of what we would do. And that's a pretty privileged place to come from. So I think recognize that if you are in a position to change anything, you're in a very privileged place, regardless of how hard. I did not have an easy life. I was never given anything. I moved out here with $300 to my name. Everything I have, every dime I have, I've worked for. But I was inspired to work because every time I worked hard, I saw small improvements and I got better and I got happier and I improved the lives of people around me. And it just starts with taking those simple little steps in the beginning. Mine were, I'm going to walk to work. Instead of take 2 buses, I'm going to take 1 bus and then I'm going to walk to work, or take a bike to work, or I'm going to take a walk around the block instead of going to lunch and sitting around and talking about stupid gossipy shit I'm not even going to remember tomorrow and watching Jeopardy with the rest of everyone. I'm going to take a walk around the block and listen to Alan Watts, and go sit on the park bench by the Hudson River instead of consuming myself in this toxic culture that I've been doing for years and years.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it's like taking your time and being extremely mindful about how that's going to propel your life forward.
Well, you have an ability to use a lot of excuses. You in particular.
I could be very miserable if I wanted to, very easily.
Yeah, you have. And that's the thing we all have to fight. That there's a subtlety to choosing victimization or choosing transmutation and opportunity within the pain, because pain's coming, the curveball's coming, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's not like life gets easier.
Right.
You just get better at handling what comes up.
Right.
And you just get less triggered.
Yeah. And you're a single mom. Like you could say, I don't have time. You're entrepreneurialism is gnarly, right?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Thank
you for that recognition. It's
right?
crazy. It's a crazy thing to do for this long alone.
Yeah. You've got 2 of the hardest things on the planet to do. The first
I wish
one
I
being
was a single parent because I'd have my time free. I'm a solo parent. I'm
Right.
0 time free.
Right.
and it wasn't necessarily my choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared for it. It came into my life when my son was very young. And at the same time that I lost my mom passed away and I became a solo parent literally in the same week.
Oof.
And, but thank God I had the tools to deal with that 3 years ago. That I I used to literally wake up every morning and thank God that I can smile with my son and I can get up and we can have our, I mean, I live and die by my routines.
Right.
Because when you're going through it, that's it. You got to get up and you have to show your kid. We have a routine. We get up every morning, we have breakfast, we take our walk, we do this.
Totally.
Like and having him really helped me because it gave me that extra motivation to like, I have to, okay, he's 3 months old and he doesn't know what we're going to do, but I want to train his nervous system that we get outside every day and we go to the beach and we go on walks and we eat good food. And, you know, like mommy eats good food because you're getting breastfed from me. And like, I can't be depressed because if I'm depressed, that's going to transmute to his breast milk. Right. So I have to keep myself, I'm not pushing anything down, but I'm not going to have those breakdown moments in front of my child because he's going to pick up on that so early on in life. And I don't want that for him. Right? It's hard enough to regulate your emotions as a human being. Rather than your mom putting all this crap on you, depression and grief and whatever when you're young. So I had to move through those experiences at the same time. But if I didn't have the tools, if I wasn't healthy, if I was moving through that and I was also sick or I was also sad or I'd never gotten myself out of a depression or I didn't feel like I could do things on my own or I didn't have the birth experience I had where I go, I got this. Like I carried this baby for almost 10 months and I gave birth to him with no medical intervention whatsoever. I could have done that shit at home by myself, essentially exactly the same way. I think it really, you become more empowered. You know, the more I think a lot of people are coming from a very disempowered place. But empowerment looks different for all of us. That's why it's like, I can't tell people exactly what to do because I don't know what they're going through, you know, unless I talk to them. But what I can tell them is if you're an adult, you know what feels more empowered to you and what doesn't. And so do what empowers you, not what puts other people down, but what empowers you.
Yeah, you know, the thing that, you know, we want to set these goals, right? We want to set these big goals, but really the small goals stacked up over time are really, that's the gold.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the discipline when you apply that. And so, because we set ourselves up to fail all the time because we set this big ass goal and then we have zero kind of path towards it. And there's a power in just like, hey man, just take 5 minutes and be quiet and close your eyes and like, and then hey, that's a win.
Yeah. And we're fighting all these animalistic, like rage is real, right? Anger is real. Getting hurt and manipulated and all that stuff is, physically abused. All of that is real. Like I've been through all of it. I don't discount any of it. I understand when you're in it, you are in it and you're in survival mode. And sometimes you literally just cannot think outside of yourself or outside of your situation. But even then, I feel like if your goal is to like enjoy life, you're going to get out of those situations as fast as you possibly can. You're going to pay any amount of money. You're going to pay any price. You're going to do anything. You're going to become friends with anybody you need to and get yourself to a higher place so that you can enjoy life. Because if enjoying everything or as much as you possibly can is the goal, if you can learn how to cry about losing your parent for 5 minutes, but also look into your child's face and be grateful and present and love that you're here and love that you're alive. You know, some of the hardest things that happen to us are just grief experiences that should really just be reminding us that we're here, right? Instead of focusing on the loss, it should be reminding us that we have a life to live, right? And I think that, not to discount the grief, obviously you have to move through that. I mean, losing somebody, that loss is profound. Like there's no skipping over that. There's no spiritually bypassing grief, especially of a parent, a child, a spouse, a sibling. Like you're never going to get over it, but you have to get through it regardless, right? So I think the best way to get through it is to focus on enjoying your life.
Right. Well said. I mean, it's, the thing that you have a drive, right? And I recognize that. And what you clearly have also something that's pulling you through, right? So what are your targets? You could call them purposes, goals, whatever it is, but it feels to me you have a deep connection to yourself and why you're here now and what are some of, because I believe that for me, I'm nuts if I don't know where I'm going, right? Yeah. And I really spend a lot of time daily going, what am I doing? Where am I going?
Yeah.
What is your target? What is your kind of bigger passions that kind of pull you through when it's not easy?
Getting closer to God,
Yeah.
all of it. And I don't mean like in prayer and whatever. I mean, there's obviously that, but like helping people brings me closer to God, right? Making music brings me closer to God. Writing books brings me closer to God. Spending time with my child brings
It's
me
like a
closer to God.
devotion. Yeah.
It's a devotion to, I can have all the grand plans that I want, but there's my plan and then there's God's plan. Right. And so I think the closer you get to the source of where you came from and why you're here, whatever you want to call that, right? Then for me, that's what it is. It's about, wait, okay, there's a remembering here. I came for a purpose, and life makes you forget. You got to pay taxes, you got to pay bills, you got to do all this dumb shit that has nothing to do with why your
Life,
soul came to
yeah.
this planet, right? Or what you're working on that's part of the bigger picture. But if you can tune in every day and say, oh yeah, wait, hold on. Like on the way here, on the train right here, I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. What am I doing? I got a podcast with Darren. What would you have me say? What would you have me do? Like, this is not my experience. This is your experience. And if you, even as a scientist, this may sound really woo, but it was science that got me to really believe in all this stuff, because it's time, right? Time's not real. We chose this experience a long time ago. It's all happening at once. And if it's all happening at once, then we're literally simultaneously living with past lives and future lives. Everything that I've accomplished has already happened. So for me, it's about, I'm walking this path, but I'm taking God's hand because it's the only person in front of me, and letting God lead me through the path, right? That's it. That's my focus.
Yeah.
That's my drive.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's privately, that's very similar to how I, certainly when I'm pushing myself, power versus force, and I'm forcing something, I'm just like, oh, okay,
I feel like, wait, this is too hard.
take it,
Yeah.
take it. I
Yep.
think I know something, and clearly I don't. So please, I'm offloading this to you.
Yep. Whoopsies. Oh, I thought this was in my hands. I'm sorry.
like,
I fucked up.
Damn it. Are you sure that I don't have a better idea?
No.
Are you sure?
Are you sure me, the center of my entire
Are you
universe,
sure?
doesn't know everything?
I don't know. Do you have the perspective I have?
Have you been there? Have you seen everything I've seen?
Are you sure? Have you heard me? Have you seen what's going on?
Oh, we're all having the same conversation.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We're all having the same
But
convo.
you answered the next question I was going to have is, what does a super life mean to you? And what I gathered from what you just said is the surrender and the guidance of your most deepest connection to source, to God, and following that path. Is that?
Yeah. And being open to what comes
open,
out. Like, I'm very open. I mean, anyone who works with me in business will know it's like, listen, I've done a lot on my own already, but I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I love hiring people that are smarter than me. I love telling people I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I love learning.
Yeah.
I love telling people to give me a template so that I can get better, right? Because the second you think you know everything, you're screwed, right?
Yeah.
Especially in business or in entrepreneurship, but I think in life too. But I think to have, for me, the best way of having a super life is to surrender, right?
Yes.
And to be graceful in everything that I do, in knowing that, like, I don't know anything, especially now that I'm a parent. I know I don't know anything. Don't tell my son. But I don't know anything. And I'm a great parent. Like,
Right.
from the circumstances I've been given, I think I am a top-notch mom,
Right.
but I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm literally making this up as I go along. Luckily, a lot of motherhood, a lot of parenthood is intuition.
Right.
I think the worst parents are the ones that are disconnected from their intuition.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
We kind of full circle back to the birthing process when we
Right.
go back to, as moms, there is a knowledge you have about birth that no doctor could possibly even come close to understanding.
No, especially male doctors.
Yeah.
It's just like what most OBs
It's like
are,
just create a safe space,
Right.
and then just step out of the way
Right.
and watch the power of that goddess woman come through. And like, I've luckily seen that, and it's astonishing.
You'll see it again. I'm excited for you to have
I'll
your own
see.
kids. I feel like they're coming. They'll be here someday.
Someday, I'm sure. But thank you so much for this time, and I think it's one of many conversations.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. This was so wonderful. I could have
Yeah,
done this for 5 more hours.
yeah, yeah, for
I'm
sure.
sure we will again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.